Hello guys, in this video we will talk about some questions that help us open a bit our mind so we start thinking a little bit bigger and connect more with this feeling of what is truly aligned for us, what we really want and what we don't want, instead of thinking in terms of what we should want or what is reasonable to want or feeling shame of things that we want. And this will help us also not only to open our mind, but also for the next training, which is the final training of the clarity part in this series, which will be to write down everything we want in each area of our life. This is a part of a free YouTube series for creating a clear vision and an organized plan for your life ahead. You can find a link with all of the training so far in the description up below this video. Today's questions not only will help us open our mind a little bit more, so we are thinking a little bit bigger about what we really want in the next session, but also in every revision, when we go through those questions and our answers about what we want and what we don't want, we will remind ourselves what we are aligning to. And then this will become a little bit more solid knowledge in ourselves, and we will be able to a lot more confidently make decisions in our everyday life based on what we truly want and what we don't want. Those questions are fun and actually really nice to think about them, so I think this session will be enjoyable for you. Okay, so now I will show you how the structure of this training looks like in the Excel spreadsheet and the Alive software. We will go through the questions, and then when you have time, you can write your answers. The idea, as usual, is to answer those questions as honestly as possible and as authentically as possible, without thinking about limitations, responsibilities, feeling shame or feeling guilty about what you really want, and that sort of things. Just try to connect with what you really want and write it down. You don't have to overthink it, just write down whatever comes first to your mind. And of course, after sometimes in the revisions, you can edit it, you can change it, you can shape it the way you want. This is how it looks like in the Excel spreadsheet. This is the first question. Here is a place for your answers. Here I place some text like a direction, but you can just read it and then delete it. Here is the next question, again, place for your answer and all of the questions that we'll be going through today. And this is how it looks like in the software. It's the same information, the same questions. You have here your answer, the questions and your answer. So here the tab is called General. Honestly, it's been named General for a very long time, and I don't think it's a very fancy name, but I haven't found other name that is suitable for this part of the training. But when you answer those questions, if you find some more reasonable name for this tab, you can write it down in the comments below and I'm open to change it. Okay, so now we are going through each of the questions and I will give some direction about them. The first one is, what is truly abundant and rich life for me? So here you write down short and very clear and very practical answers. Like, for example, you can write down, I can buy everything I want when I'm going in the supermarket without thinking about the price. Or whenever I'm going to a restaurant or whenever I'm going to some kind of coffee or whatever it is, I can order anything I want without thinking about the price. This is really clear, really practical thing that makes you feel abundant and makes you feel rich in life. Another example that you can write is, I have a steady home that I really enjoy and love. Another good example that you can add is, I have a healthy and loving and supportive love relationship. This is one of the things that makes life really truly abundant and rich. Another example is also having really supportive and reciprocative friends. It's also something that is really clear and practical. These are some examples what you can write down in this area, but the idea is to write down everything that feels to you that makes life truly abundant and a rich life. Then the next question is, what brings me feeling of peace and calm? And here again, try to write down answers that are really clear, really practical and short. For example, one of the things that I shared before that brings me great feeling of peace is a hot beverage, just drinking a latte or cappuccino with a great view. Another example is having a great conversation with a close friend. Another good example is having my meals prepared so I don't think about them throughout the week. So you can write different things that really brings you feeling of peace and calm, no matter if they are connected to your personal life, your work life, or anything else that you think of. The next question is, what makes me truly alive? What brings me feeling of joy and happiness? So for me, for example, I would write down something like working on ideas that are really inspiring for me. Or another thing is listening inspiring videos or podcasts. Another example for me, I would say that driving my motorbike is one of the things that brings me really joy and happiness. And again, those things might be relevant to you or might be totally opposite for you. The idea is here for you to write down everything that makes you feel truly happy and truly joyous and fully alive. The next question is how I want to live really authentically. How much I want to work, how much I want to rest, how much money I want to have per month, how I want my day, week, month to look like, what I want to do in my free time. So here, it's good to take some time and really think about how you want your life to look like. And for each of us will be different. Some people like to work a little bit more. Some people like to work less. Some people aspire for a lot of money, and some people are not so inspired by money. So for them, when you cover the basic things, it's enough. We also like to do different things in our free time. Some people like mountains and hiking. Other people like beaches or cenotes or whatever it is. But the idea here is to take some time and to think about how you want to live, how you want your days to look like, how you want to spend your free time, how much money you want, and just write it down. Again, very shortly, clearly, practically. The next question is, what is I want in my life at the moment, and what are the non-negotiable things I want in my life going forward. So the idea here is to write down everything that we appreciate at this moment in our life and everything that we really want to the point that it's really non-negotiable. So I will give you an example with me. One of the things that I really like that I have in the moment is my motorbike. As I said, it's something that brings me a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. So I can write down here, I have a great motorbike. But the other thing, what are non-negotiable things I want in my life going forward? This, one of the things I remember I wrote here some years ago. I was in an apartment that there was no balcony and the apartment was kind of dark. So I really didn't feel good in this apartment. And I remember I wrote down in this area at that moment that the non-negotiable is to live in an apartment with a balcony and a lot of light. So this is the thing that what are the non-negotiable things? It means that it's really important for you. You have already experienced this. You know that you don't like what you don't like and you want what you want. Another good example that I can give here is with health. Like I had a period when I really didn't feel good about my health, but I didn't have time to invest in getting to know what is happening and just researching things. And one time I wrote here that one of the non-negotiables is to take time and really focus on my health, to research and realize what is actually happening and to experiment with different things to see what will work for me. Another good example here that I remember what will be a non-negotiable is having friends that are reciprocal. So I remember that at some point when I was thinking about my friendships, I realized that most, if not all of my friendships were really not reciprocal. Like I was putting a lot more effort than I was receiving. And I realized that those are not the friendship that I want. So I put it here like I want friendship that are reciprocal. So think about in your life what you have that you appreciate really in this moment, and what are the non-negotiable things that you want in your life going forward, and write it down here. The next question is, what is I have to in my life at the moment? I have to mean what doesn't feel good, what makes you feel small, what feels heavy, and what are the non-negotiable things I do not want to tolerate anymore in my life going forward. So those things will change with time, but we're writing down what is happening at this moment. So for example, one of the things that comes to my mind at the moment is there were a period that I was doing a lot of technical and a lot of managing just chaos in my business. And that was really bringing me down. It was too heavy. I didn't want to do those things. And it really made me feel heavy and unpleasant. So one of the things that I wrote, what is I have to in my life at this moment, is doing a lot of technical stuff, managing people, or doing things that I really don't like. Another example is again with friendship. I had also friendships that was feeling that I need to be in those friendships instead of I want to be in those friendships. So I wrote down the people and the friendships that was feeling heavy. Kind of, I don't want to be in them, but I'm still in them because I kind of feel guilty about that. So those are some examples about what is I have to. What is something that doesn't feel good in my life at the moment? And then what are the non-negotiable things I do not want to tolerate anymore? So I don't want to tolerate doing a lot of technical stuff in whatever I'm doing. I don't want to tolerate friendships that are not something that inspired me, and rather than feeling shame and feeling guilt, and that's why I have those people. Another super funny example that now I thought of is one time, maybe about 6-7 years, I wrote down here that I have to, like something unpleasant in my life was removing body hair. I was just really tired of every time I need to go in the bathroom and remove body hair. And I wrote down here, I just don't want to do that anymore. And it was really funny because after a couple of weeks, I was meeting a friend, and I told her, like, I'm really tired about body hair. And she told me, oh, you didn't know about the home devices for laser hair removal? And she explained me about this Philips Lumnia. I'm not associated with Philips Lumnia, but she told me about this product and I bought it. And since then, I just am like a new person. I really enjoy it, and it allows you to, in the beginning, you have an initial part when you remove it every, I think, 2 or 3 times in a week. But then after this initial period, most of the devices have 3 to 6 months without any body hair. So it is amazing. But the idea here is that you can write everything that feels really unpleasant and really heavy in your life, no matter if it's something small or something big, something in personal life or something in work life. Identify the things that make us feel really unpleasant in our everyday life and what we don't want to tolerate anymore. The next question is, what would I be doing if I had $4 million, enough for 70 years, 5,000 per month? So here you can write down any other number. If you don't like 70 years with 5,000 USD, you can make like 10,000 USD. The real question here is, what would you do if you have absolutely total financial freedom, if money were not an issue? Because a lot of people have this limitation around money, and it's a real limitation, and unfortunately it affects the way we think. But in this moment, in these questions, as I said, we want to think bigger, we want to think without limitation. So the idea here is, if you have a total financial freedom, what would you be doing? How would you spend your time? What would you be working on? What kind of people you would have as friends? The idea is to think about this and just write it down. The next question is, who am I having $4 million? How exactly do I look like? What I am thinking about? What I am doing? What decision am I taking? I think in the Excel spreadsheet, I changed it to 9 millions because it was 75 years with $10,000 per month, because it gave a little bit more space to think about, because in some countries, in some cities, 5,000 USD are not really enough, but $10,000 are really enough. And the question here is about not only what you will be doing, but who you are. How would you look like? How would you speak? And how would you carry yourself? What kind of clothes you would want to wear if financials were not an issue? Like, for example, I can write, I would be a lot more calm in doing what I'm doing. I will take enough time to take care about my health. I would follow my intuition a lot more, with a lot more confidence, rather than thinking that I made a mistake. And maybe I will be a lot more tolerant. So you can think about, if you have that financial freedom, how would you be? How would you look like? How would you approach what you are doing and life in general? Okay, so the next question is one of my favorite. What are my options in life from now on? Describe briefly every option you have for your life ahead. And which option is the most inspiring and uplifting for me? In some moments, we can see that there are really different options for us, how we want to proceed in life. And sometimes those options are really opposite. And the idea here is to really take those options and put it in paper on the screen and just see them, think about them. I found that when I wrote the different options that I have from now on, it really kind of makes it more clear to feel what is really aligned to you and what doesn't feel that much aligned to you. It's kind of feel a contraction. So for example, if you are considering moving to another city, or moving to another job, or moving to another relationship, or whatever it is, you can write down all of the options that you are thinking about and just see them from afar and think about how you feel. And you will see that some of the options feel kind of expansive, kind of inspiring. But some options feels contraction, like make you feel small, make you feel unpleasant. And the idea here is not about to jump straight forward to the option that is more expansive, but those decisions are sometimes take a lot of time to really finalize them. So you write down here and you just allow those decisions to grow on the back of your mind, like on the back end. And then when you come to it after 3 months, you read those options and kind of the decisions become more and more clear. And also, if it's some of the decisions that you really want seem scary, it already doesn't feel so scary because your mind is already kind of used to it. Which leads me to the next question, which is what I would do if I wasn't scared to do it. So this is the other question that is really my favorite, because most of the times we have something that we really want to do, but we are scared to do it. And when I think about those things, is like, when you are dying, what are you regretting? Usually we regret the things that we didn't do. So the idea here is to be really honest with yourself and to write down the things that you are scared to do, but you still think about them. And what I found is whenever we wrote down those things, our brain kind of start to think about strategic ways in order to move towards those actions. So it's really, really good to just notice those things, write them down, and just let our brain think about different calm and strategic ways in order to do what we are scared to do, because we really don't want to go through life with a lot of things that we are not doing just because we are scared. If it's genuinely we don't want something, okay, don't do it. But there are a lot of things that we really want to do, but we are just too scared to do it. And I found that whenever we write it down, our brain is just starting to think about ways to move forward towards it. Okay, and this is the final question. How does my 10x abundant and rich life looks like? So Here again, we write things down that are very specific, clear, and practical. And the idea here is whenever we think about, like the first question here, what is truly abundant and rich life? The idea is to have one level upstairs. Like if we already have what we think is abundant and rich life, after that, what is happening? Because sometimes our brain, when there is a final goal, it thinks that if we reach that goal, we will die. There will be nothing. So the idea is to create a picture above our final goal, so our brain thinks that this is just a stepping stone towards something bigger. So here you can write down things that are really expansive for you. You can take some time and just write a couple of things. You don't have to write a lot of things, but just a couple of things. What would your life be after you already have what you think is really abundant and rich life? And just stretch yourself to think a little bit bigger. And here is just a test. I wanted to show that you can do that in the Excel spreadsheet, but you can do it here. You can remove things. If you don't like some of the questions, you can change the questions here, like you can write something else. You can remove some of the question if you don't want, or you can add some other questions that you really want. Okay, so now you can take some time, go through the questions and fill it whatever comes to your mind first. Remember, be as authentic and as honest as possible. Don't worry to fill it in the right way. Just write the things that comes first to your mind and know that every time in your revision, every 3 months, you will go through those questions, you will read the answer, and you can always edit them and change them the way you want. And while you answer those questions, notice how they make you feel. Like notice this expansive feeling, this allowing yourself to dream again, to think a little bit bigger, to think a little bit outside our everyday limitations. It's amazing feeling and really nice to feel it. It creates a really pleasant inner atmosphere. Those questions help you really to think a lot more in an aligned way and a bigger way. And this is exactly the purpose of those questions. Alright, that's about for this video. If you have any question or comments, write them down below and I will gladly answer them. As I shared, the next video will be the final one of the part of creating clarity about ourselves, and then we will continue with the planning part. You can find the link with all of the videos in the description below. Also, if you want to receive all of those videos and trainings in your inbox, you can sign up for my email list and you will get all of the trainings in your inbox. Link in the description below. Subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment even if it's just your favorite emoji, because it helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. The more likes and the more comments I have, YouTube understand that this is a valuable content and it show it to other people. So that way you can help me spread the word and other people can create a lot more clarity and focus in their own life. Thank you in advance for that, and I will see you in the next video.